Right, shall we get this show on the road?
Go on then.
I've forgotten my lines already.
Just forgotten it.
Yeah. Right, let's do it. You can't make me laugh right when we're starting. Welcome, everyone. What is happening, guys, to FPL and Chill episode 2, the show where we get nice and cozy with our favorite FPL managers and learn a little bit more about the person behind the Twitter handle and just figure out how they became such giants of the community. Episode 2, rising from the ashes of gremlins in the machines, ghosts in the machines for Halloween of Thursdays past, is Tom from Who Got the Assist. How's it going, buddy?
Hello, how are you doing, Dave? Thanks for having me on. Second time lucky, hopefully. Um, really good to be on. It's interesting to be on Twitch as well. So I play a lot of games in my spare time, as regular listeners will know, and I've watched a lot of Hearthstone Twitch, or at least I used to before a few incidents recently.
Yeah.
No, it's good to be on this particular medium.
Yeah, Twitch is great. It's especially good with the like I was doing YouTube for a while, but it was really annoying because like subscription services were weird. I didn't understand that. Like I've sold out from ground zero. Like that's me. That I
Mm.
will do that from now on. And so if you start like that, no one ever can get mad at you. And Twitch was just a better way of making money than YouTube, so I totally switched. No, there's obviously other reasons. But you mentioned there that you're a gamer. What is your favorite game ever?
Oh, favorite game ever? Probably Oblivion. I think Oblivion was like at the time that I was at my friend's house in Liverpool a couple of weekends ago and we were talking about it. So when I got home, I flicked on the graphics on the old computer, and my God, it's so old. Like it looks so bad now compared to like the Outer Worlds that I'm
Uh
playing at the
huh.
moment. But at the time, like it was just amazing. Like you could go anywhere, do anything
Yeah.
practically. You know, you had all those little kind of like dungeons you could go into, like, and it was just so open and so like different to anything I think that I'd
Mm-hmm.
ever played. And I love that game. Like, it's just such a.
How long did you play for?
I think I did. Oh God, I get the Elder Scrolls games mixed up, like Morrowind, Skyrim.
Some.
I get them all mixed up in my head, but I must have played that game for an awful long time, like a long time in uni,
Yeah.
like before Fallout 3 came out. I think I played that game a lot, and I wasn't playing Call of Duty with my flatmate. That is.
Yeah, because like Skyrim's become like this whole thing, and it introduced me to modding and stuff. So Elder Scrolls is great. Although Skyrim was my first one, and then I found out like it's actually considered in the community one of like
Five
the
of them, yeah.
yeah, exactly. Not only is there loads, but like it was actually one that a lot of people, like hardcore people, didn't like that much.
Yeah.
Which I didn't understand because it was like a whole new world to me. I felt like Ariel and was fucking walking for once. It was great.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, let's get to you. Fuck Skyrim, right? You are Tom from Who Got the Assist.
I am.
First of all, congratulations on 30k followers. That happened really,
Thank
really
you.
recently. That's huge. I don't know why you're on this stream with me. First of all, but yeah, no,
Don't be
congratulations.
silly. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it's one of those things that like never ceases to amaze me. Yeah, it was really. I don't know. Like, it's been going for 2.5 years. I mean, we joined, as it says there, in November of 2016, but we only actually like started tweeting in May 2017 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I think to get from there to 30, it's a bit weird. Like I still. It's very hard to verbalize it 'cause it's a really strange like thing going from like when no one would read my tweets or see what I was doing to where we are now, where
Yeah.
sometimes I'll tweet something and I'll sometimes have to just mute it because my phone's going mental when I'm in a meeting, or I'm just like, oh, there's so many like I used to try to get back to absolutely every single person, like,
Yeah.
and I still try to, especially if I've asked a question or something like that, I try to, but it's gone to the point now where sometimes I'm like, God, I need a social media manager or something. Like I just can't do it anymore. There's just no way I can
Yeah,
be across absolutely
you're an
everyone.
you're an absolute social media superman. Like when the first time we ever talked, I was like, "Oh my god, I must be doing so well." Like, who got the assist? Someone, I don't know who owns it, like the thing. I know now it's just you that's on that and Nick Studs on
Yeah.
Twitter. But I was like, "Holy shit, someone's talking to me." and then I realized you do it with literally everyone all the time, no matter what. And I know you're saying there that you haven't been able to hit everyone, but you reply to me so fast. Sometimes I'll message you, I'll be like, right, I'll come back, and then you've already messaged me like 10 times, and then I've asked where I am. Like you're super quick. No, I'm only kidding.
Yeah,
You're not that creepy. But yeah, no,
yeah,
it's really really good. And you made a good analogy earlier. You were like, it's kind of like the South Park character that you play in the very first one when they've got like the superpower is social media. So
yeah.
I assume that helps a lot when you're doing things like fantasy football, like getting people and bringing guests on and all the rest of it. Like, how did that start? Where did that come from? When did you learn the superpower?
Oh, so I was playing World of Warcraft when I was a teenager. So I mean, I was obviously a ladies' form orderly queue. I was a hardcore World of Warcraft player when I was 16, 17, 18. I was
Right.
ordering kind of grown men around on TeamSpeak when I was that age,
And
and a
that's
lot of
when the fetish started.
yeah, I suppose so. I love a bit of hard rubber in the morning, but other than that, like, apart from talking about strap-ons, like, I also was talking to them about how we're going to defeat this boss, you know. So
Hmm.
I took and like there were lots of forums, so a little bit early, and that was kind of how it translated across into Fantasy Football Scout when I started there ages ago.
Hmm.
Um, and obviously chatting in game was exactly the same, like in guild chat with like everyone in it. It's kind of similar to Twitter in a lot of ways. So I guess it's kind of from there. But I kind of just I got to know everyone. Like obviously in World of Warcraft is one thing because they can see you
Yeah.
play and see that you're pretty
Yeah,
good.
they know who you are.
Um, with this, it was a bit more kind of just getting to know people. I guess hopefully getting better and better, and the
Yeah.
quality of the tweets, no doubt, getting worse and worse. But um,
No, I
I guess
disagree.
I don't know. I don't know. I seem to have this. I seem to just be like I know most people. I think it's just one of those things that like at work as well. It's just like networking and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Like I guess inadvertently I ended up doing that skill as well in fantasy football.
Yeah, and one of the things and that you mentioned on another podcast, I think it was the Planet FPL one, where you said that you were in researching, and that's kind of what you do, or
Hmm.
what you maybe you had done. Is that right?
Yeah, just about. Yes, a trained researcher by trade. So
Did
that's kind
that
of what I do.
did that come before FPL? Because I feel like that is a perfect training. Like, did you go to college and do that? Like, that's amazing
No,
for FPL.
no. So I went to uni and studied English actually. So completely different.
Right.
But
Okay.
yeah, my first job is what. So my first job, that was in research, and in my first job there was an active mini league, and that was
Hmm.
what got me into FPL properly, as it were. Like I played a
Right.
little bit
Okay.
when I was at uni, but I wasn't very good. Like me and my flatmate Sam would just like literally like make bucket loads of transfers every week, just try to beat each other. Like we had no like conception of what the game was, you know. It was only when I
Yeah.
joined the mini league and started like kind of watching what everyone else was doing. Like I didn't know what OR was until I started FPL Twitter actually.
Yeah.
But like playing that mini league and like getting really competitive with my work colleagues and stuff like that, that's what really got me into FPL and got me thinking a bit more about what's the edge going to be? Oh, it's probably going to be stats, isn't it? Just because I can go on this Fantasy Football Scout website and look at all the
Yeah.
stats and
I think that's how we
um,
all did it, right? You find the stats and just to get over on your mates. It's the
no,
first
that's it.
thing. It's all a narcissistic start that almost everyone has. Is like, I want to beat you, and I will do whatever it takes just to beat you. So I
Yeah.
like that you started almost the same way as me and a few other people that I've been talking to. Someone asked us where our fancy dress is. Thank you very much. It was really nice of you guys to notice that I've actually came as someone who's been stung by too many bees. So thank you very much for noticing. Um, and Tom is way too busy with 30k notifications to be dressing up. There's also people getting stabbed outside his house and everything. So yeah, he stays in London. Like, that's scary stuff. So that's scary enough without
East
you having to
London.
dress up.
Yeah, it's just East London. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. So how many people are in your gang? Are you guys like good? Are you any
Um,
good?
well, the first rule of the WGTA gang is you don't talk about WGTA gang, so I can neither confirm nor deny the
Right.
members and
Okay.
the numbers that are involved. But let me just say it involves Nicholas.
Okay, okay, fair enough. Yeah, Nicholas. We need to get him on. I want his dad on, actually. I want his dad on. He seems to be doing so well. Do you think his dad's into Twitch? Do you think he's into like weird Canadians that talk about FPL too much? I hope he is.
Um, I don't know. We'll see if we can get a soundbite out of him, and maybe we'll get a taste for it. We'll get a
Yeah.
taste for being a celeb. I don't know. Who knows?
Uh,
Um, yeah, no, that's ridiculous. No, he'll speak to. I'm sure he'll come on at some point
yeah, we
if you can
definitely
nail a
will.
time down with him. Yeah.
So, before we get into your rise from your very small start to like where you are now, FPL and Chill is based on the Netflix and chill, which is a famous phrase from Tinder. Were you part of that? Was that something have you ever text someone, hey, do you want to Netflix and chill? Because I missed it. So this is kind of my glory. This is me living that I missed. So what about you?
Right, okay. No, I've always been boringly monogamous. My girlfriend's watching at the moment as well, so I'd never at all specify anything to do with my past proclivities. But no, I've
Okay.
always been I think I was with my girlfriend when that became a thing. So no,
Okay.
definitely have not
That's
to
it.
text anybody.
That's
But
the
if she does
exact
ever get
same.
rid of me, then
Uh
maybe I will start texting people there. Who knows? Don't get rid of me, please.
huh. Hiya. How is things? Thank you for watching. Mrs. Who got the assist?
No,
But
no,
it's not your Mrs. Who does it. It's Nick's, right? Who does
Yeah,
the
it's
tune.
Nick's wife.
Now,
Yeah.
we're gonna get onto it, so I'm just gonna go straight through it. Also, I always ask guests what they're drinking, but unfortunately, you are on the water tonight. You're feeling not into the alcohol right now, which is absolutely fine. I will drink more for both of us. This is a double bourbon, Aldi bourbon, award-winning like James Bean
Quality.
knockoff. So
I like it.
absolutely fine. So, just starting off, then your very first foray into the FPL world, like you said, was the mini league, and you started in Fantasy Football Scout. I found individual,
Yeah.
which was, I assume, your very first like login for
Mhm.
all things. I also actually found Nick's, which was mathematics.
It is, yes.
It is, and then I found mathematician on Reddit, and I'll show you guys right now. So this was his old one, right? I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah.
And
That's
then
that.
I looked up his Twitter on mathematician, and it was suspended.
Oh
No, I don't know if this is the same person, but I
no,
find
I
it
don't think so.
very interesting.
No, I think the Twitter was, but Nick's not the best with tech, so I'm
Oh
guessing he
right,
just like wrote. I'm guessing he just wrote the name again rather than linking it to the Twitter account. No, he's not. He only made his own one really relatively recently.
right.
Um,
The
so
who got the assist, Nick
who
one.
Nick, yeah, that's
Who
it. So
nicked the assist?
I think he
Oh
just
right. It was just
made an administrative error there.
so it was just really really funny researching into you guys and then find out that Nick might actually be a badass. That he said something or done something. Twitter was like, "No, we want him absolutely gone." And then to listen to your podcast now, and he's like the nicest guy ever. So I thought like he's got like this dark and sinister past, which is a great
Um,
way of bringing that up on Halloween, like maybe bringing those skeletons out of the closet. But no,
no,
not to be.
unfortunately, not on this
Okay,
time.
so who got the assist was a new blog and pod for the 2017-18 season. You posted this on Reddit 2 years ago, and you named it Kickoff, and this was you, metaphorically and physically kicking off
Hmm.
your pod. So
Aw.
why did you start it? Does this bring back the memories?
Why did we start it? So when we did our intro pod over the summer, just like to talk about who we are and what we are and what we were doing and why we did WTA basically. And I think there was a time, I think it was the 2015-16 season, when we were both really ill. Actually, I had cancer at the time, and Nick
Oh
has
shit!
ulcerative colitis, which he's got at the moment. Yeah, it
You had
happens. Shit
cancer?
happens. I did.
Is this
Shit
a thing that
happens.
everyone knows?
No, I don't know.
I can't believe the
It's
one
on my
exclusive I've got of you is that you
no,
had cancer.
it's on my it's on the intro pod we did over the summer. So
Right. Okay. Okay. Fair
mentioned
enough.
before. So we're both, I don't know, I think we both wanted to do something else, like just to get over that year. And I think we
Uh
both
huh.
I got Nick into FPL, lured him in basically, got him
Like those
engaged
men
with
from WoW.
yeah, that was it. And then we were both thinking about, we had the name pretty early, and then from there, I think,
Hmm.
once it got to the end of that kind of season, we thought, well, all right, let's give it a go. And yeah, that's kind of made a website, made a Twitter, and just
Bob's your
thought we'd,
uncle.
yeah,
That's
exactly,
great.
'cause,
I
yeah, why
found
not?
I found in my look when I was looking everything up, that it was actually called Who Assisted first, and
It
then you
was.
changed to Who Got the Assist, which I think, by the way, is one of the best names. It so stands out. It's the only thing you ask as an FPL person. Like, it's very specific to it. It's really, really good. Who Assisted is even great. Why did you change between those two?
It's because the Twitter handle. It wasn't who got. We were always who got the assist. It was the Twitter handle which was who assisted for some reason. Because I didn't really understand how Twitter worked back then.
Oh, right. So
And
it's just
then
a quick change.
yeah, that was it. And I realised it was probably better to have WGTA
Right,
because
okay.
that's what the name spells up.
All right. Okay. No worries. So first things first. The very first. The very first ever.
Oh, here we go.
The very, very first ever podcast with you guys in it. Do you remember what you guys used to do?
Oh God, we did the sync, didn't we, at the
Yeah,
start?
you did. So I'm gonna play it. You might not be able to hear it because they're on Skype, right? But everyone in the chat is gonna hear this. This is honestly the best thing I've ever heard in my life.
I'm Tom. And I'm Nick. This is Who Got the Assist?
I'm Tom. I'm Nick. And this is Who Got the Assist? Woo, lads.
And you do it not only for like 1, 4, 5, 8 times until you realize that it's a bit cringy and amazing, and you should definitely have kept that. But you do it for like, I think 11 is the last one you do it for.
I'm not surprised we left it on for a while.
Who Got the Assist?
Oh, good God.
And you also stopped doing these amazing pictures with you and Nick. I think these are amazing. Now, obviously, you guys are far too busy, right? Because I started doing that and then quickly scrapped it really early because it's just so time consuming, isn't it? But there's some,
Yeah.
And where's my favorite ones here? Right, hold on. My favorite one's coming. Where is it? Oh no, we passed it. It's the yes. Here we go. Is it let me click on it? Look at the state of that.
Oh, it's so bad.
That is amazing. I really want you to keep doing that. Those are so good.
Oh, have you ever a private eye?
No,
Do you know what that is?
it's like a PI, right? Like the guys. Who
No,
like,
the magazine.
Oh no, I don't know what it is.
Okay, that reference we can. So it's a reference to that. It's they always have front covers with like ridiculously bad like captions and things like that, which is really bad jokes.
Yeah.
It's a reference to that. It's not my sense of humor. It's meant to be a reference.
Oh, okay. So this is your
Yeah.
very, very, very quick, like disclaimer. That's not my. I don't find it funny.
Well, I do
find
find it funny. I like crap humor. That's like people just I really like crap humor. So I found it's funny because it's bad. It's if you see what I mean. Like I don't know, but dad jokes. I love dad jokes. Anyway.
No, and oh, so that's a good point. So you love dad jokes. Do you have any little kids or anything running around?
No, not yet.
No?
Nick's got a baby.
Nick does, really recently, right?
Almost one. Yeah.
And how's he been doing? How's that? Have you been annoyed at him for missing shit and stuff? Like, have you been cracking
No.
the whip kind of thing, or has he been quite good at it?
No, like I think given it's fair to say given our respective skill sets and personalities, I kind of thought I'd end up doing a lot of the technical kind of stuff and the nitty gritty, and then running the podcast. I'm just a lot quicker at getting back to people and doing that. So, I mean, Nick does his bit, obviously does his research, puts together a good podcast with us, and then
research?
yeah,
No,
he does.
You
And then
do all
off
the
we go.
stats, and he knocks someone up, and that's the balance that you guys have found.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, no, trying to find time is a nightmare. But yeah, no, he does what he can basically. But I think he's just so slammed at the moment. He's a very busy man.
New people running around is always a difficult time.
Yeah.
Is your girlfriend hinting? Is she hinting at all? Mine is totally right now, like 100% broody, and it's it's very difficult to ward off.
Oh, yeah. No, I think so. We're off traveling soon, and then after that, we'll be thinking about what we're going to do with the next stage of our lives. So yes, it's always been something that I've always wanted, and plus I can hand the pod over to my son and daughter.
8,000.
Yeah, it's my daughter and Moses doing the pod. Who knows?
That would be so cute. So where are you going off traveling?
Going to Australia. Going down under. Yeah. Well, because we're getting
there and stuff.
Yeah. So I think I'll see if I can get to Newcastle and see him. I think that'd be cool. I think it's on the way to Sydney anyway. So yeah.
Well, if you weren't on the way, buddy, then I wouldn't have been coming to get you. But you're literally on the side of the road that I'm driving past. So we might as well meet each other.
Yeah, exactly. No, it'd be good to go and Yeah, just go somewhere you can only really go when you don't have kids, I suppose.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly why you said we're going traveling first, and then when we get back, we'll deal with it. Because you can't. It's so difficult to travel with kids. I remember being one, and I was a nightmare. I was a nightmare
Yeah.
because I moved back and forth from Canada a lot. And I remember one time my mom just like broke down in the airport. She was like, "This is so hard," and I was like, "But I'm thirsty." Oh, I just remember that out of the blue there. Right, give me 2 seconds. We're gonna stop. Can you guys just bugger off with the Halloween shit? This is from 2 weeks ago. Like, there's literally a guy in the chat called Halloween Costume Rating, and he's rated as 2 out of 10.
Oh.
And I
Yeah,
believe it's
very
at
good.
least 3 out of 10 because I'm wearing Toon Squad, so I've went as Lola Bunny. Clearly. The real question is, where does the 2 come from? 2 out of 10. You're hilarious. Right, so I noticed. Let's get back into your yellow brick road, as it were. You guys used to do awesome stuff like this, where you red roulette, which is a thing you guys constantly talk about, which is the Liverpool's Mane and Salah, and you guys actually had things like this on your site and posting to Reddit a lot, which were really really helpful. And you also had the things that showed where who was going up and who was going down and who was in form and all that stuff. And has that made way now to just the pod has became so big, or is this something that you're kind of looking at getting back into?
Well, I mean, as you can see at the bottom, our friend Matt did those for
I
us,
noticed
and
that.
we just don't have the time, and I don't have. I wish I could actually. I'd love if I had a spare week to go and learn graphic design or something, but I don't have the skills. So I kind of give me and Nick kind of come up with an idea and then say to him, okay, can you do this? But yeah, no, sadly, he doesn't have the time anymore, and. I think it was nice. It was nice at the beginning. It was a nice device to get people to think, oh, who are these guys?
Yeah.
Oh, they've got a podcast as well. I'll listen to that, and then I think it worked out quite nicely.
It's a really good grabber. Like if I clicked on that and read it 2 years ago, I'd be like, "Holy shit, like it's literally a roulette table." It's really really cool.
Yeah, it's all Matt's. Well, Matt was amazing. We just came up with the idea, and he obviously is able to do that. I wish I was.
Do it. And then on top of that, you guys do the psychology corner as well, which
Yeah,
is something that keeps you guys apart. Like I know that there hasn't been. I think you do them during the preseason. Is that right? And then you
yeah,
kind of put them every now and again if you have time. But
yeah.
they're
I mean,
honestly amazing. They're one of my favorite things about this whole website, actually.
cool. Yeah, no, it's I used to work with job. Not my current job, but the job before this, I was working at a behavioral science agency. So there's lots of stuff that you can see, lots of like parallels between behavioral science and FPL manager behavior. So I wrote a few of those, tried to do some pop sciencey stuff. I think a few
Yeah.
people liked it. A few people it just wasn't for them, which is fair enough too. I should probably again we should probably do more in our pods. Actually, it's just
They're
we're
so
getting
heavy. So I can understand people who are just looking for, 19 goals in 21 games under Brendan Rodgers. Whereas these things, they go hard into like, why do we pick these players over these players, and what is our thinking, and gambler's fallacy, and heavier stuff than that. I think it's absolutely incredible content. And I noticed that you actually wrote, hold on, let me read it. It was based on your experience working for a commercial behavior science company, right?
yeah. Yeah, that's
Now,
true.
oh my God, that is so interesting. Like, please tell me what. I know you just said like it was from your old work, but it's actually like science. Explain.
Right. So oh, God, I don't know how to explain this in the same way. So so with research, you can explain things in different ways. So if you've got your numbers, you got your behavioral observations from interviewing people, you can there's lots of different ways you can analyze that information. This is getting incredibly boring very quickly. But then there's
It's
if,
not.
if you understand, but if there's like behavioral science, you can read principles, you can read kind of a lot of literature about it, and you can apply that kind of theoretical knowledge to what's going on practically. So you can say, okay, this is how people make a decision about what lollipop to buy. This is the stages they go through before deciding that lollipop. So here's a way we can change behavior to
Right.
maybe kind of suggest that your brand of lollipops a bit better. Something like that is an example. So putting stuff like this together is just kind of part of that. But again, I'm aware that it's not for everyone, and also as well, like I know that I tried to make them incredibly accessible, but for some people it was just too much, which is fair enough. Like I know that's not really why you're there. But I thought it was interesting anyway.
No, it's
I thought
definitely
it
the
was
first thing. Like I read this, so I knew that you guys did a podcast. This is very weird, by the way, because I listen to your podcast double speed. I listen to most, so it's very weird, like just hearing your voice at normal speed sometimes.
Get on with it. You sound vacant.
No, definitely not. But I knew you guys did the podcast, but you know everyone does a podcast. But then see, when I read these, this is when I started listening to the podcast because they were so different. They were so like absolutely up my street, and I don't care if it's boring for every single viewer that's watching right now. Like, it's so interesting to me, and I went back and read every single one once I found them. And they're so good. Awesome. I know there's one also that's not technically the psychology corner, but it was the talisman theory, and that one kind of blew up. That blew up on Twitter big time. There was loads of people that were watching that. Reading that. Do you still view that, and do you still use these kind of things when you're picking your players? Like talisman theory?
Yeah. They're just principles, and that and value are just principles that I've proven. So again, that's research skills, isn't it? So being able to say, right, how do I analyze this data to prove my point, or what do I find in this data? What are the conclusions you can draw? Again, sounds incredibly boring, doesn't it? But it's sort of, I find interesting. It's a soft
we all
skills.
play FPL like religiously. I'm sure that this stuff transcends boring for normal people and is very good. But like people like Vardy right now, right? Total talisman.
Absolutely.
Everyone's bringing him in this week. Like you guys said in the pod, I think it's 350,000 people brought him in. That was on Monday or something. It'll probably be.
Yeah.
He's almost at 3 rises. So if you guys haven't seen these yet, I would definitely check them out. They're obviously not for the faint-hearted, like we've been saying. There are some heavy shit, but if you're kind of like, if you're bored or you're interested in that kind of stuff, and you've listened to all your podcasts, like definitely check out. It's really really cool. All right, so then we move on to now. You've got this massive podcast thing going on. You have loads of listeners, so much to the point where you actually have like extra things going on within the podcast, such as like Easter eggs. You've got Dad Watch. You've got the Zombie League. When did you start adding things onto it? Because it's almost like this monster pod, and it's really really interesting. And one of the only ones that I think does Easter eggs, which I think is awesome. It's genius. This is basically me bringing it up to say well done. It's one of my favorite things.
Some people absolutely hate it as well. I don't know why. I don't care. We did this since the very beginning. We were always gonna do the market. So the idea, we genuinely sat down and thought about it and came up with kind of a strategy for how we're gonna do it and how we're gonna be a bit different. And that was literally the first. It did evolve over time, but there was always going to be a section like called the feature section with the market forces and with a couple of other things. Like in the first year, we did like a differential team where you could only buy players under 10% or something, but I kept forgetting about it and it wasn't very good. And we did a Nyom watch that first year. So I think Alan Nyom was 5.0, which was a ridiculous price for him, we felt. So we basically kept up with him throughout the course of the season, the David Attenborough voice. So this week, Alan Nyom was spotted playing football.
I'm so gutted I missed that.
Yeah, so that was a big, again, quite fun. And then next year we you just kind of advanced it, and then we've advanced it again. And Dad Watch actually a little bit organic actually, because Nick's dad just started playing over the summer and then smashed it in the beginning. So we were just like, well,
absolutely smashing it. It's really
easy win.
Me and you are down in the swamps, and this new player is obviously. It's just like, if you guys haven't listened, everyone here has probably depressing. Listened. Like his dad is doing so well, and bringing in people that like 4 weeks later, I'm like, oh yeah, no, they're a good idea, and he just knows. He must watch football all the time. He must be like a super fan, right? I think he's never played the game before ever.
He's not really. Like he's not the biggest football fan. He knows a few bits and pieces, as Nick says, but he's not like, he wouldn't strike me as being kind of the guy who's down the pub, watching the game and like would know a lot about the game. I think he's more of a casual football fan, and obviously because Nick's doing who got the assist, I think he started listening and then just like, I'll give this a go, and then that's where it's kind of led to now. And yeah, I'm sure he's loving life at the moment.
Does he get? Because it's weird, right? Because Nick. He got a lot of I guess admirers for his wife because of the voice, and now he's got loads of admirers for his dad. Now, first off, I thought it was quite weird that everyone was liking the voice of his wife, but now I'm totally into Dad Watch, like 100%. Like, it's the thing I'll listen. If I don't have enough time to listen to the podcast, I will fast forward till I get to that, find out how he's doing, and then I'll come back to the pod later on. Like, I need to know every week.
Oh. Well, that's good. I'm glad to know. I'm glad to hear that there's some bits of the pod that like don't really prepare for and just kind of do on the spot do quite well too. Interesting. That's a good insight for me actually.
Yeah, there you go. And I know that you guys obviously write stuff down in that. But like, yeah, no, I think your pod is awesome, and the way that you do it, I know you get a lot of stick, but like I think it's great, and obviously loads of people like it because you're doing so well. So much well that you did like a pod with Planet FPL.
Yeah,
that was congratulations,
good.
First of all, that was awesome. You did it in like a little pub, which is the dream, and you were having drinks, and you guys were just chatting about like eventually not anything to do with FPL and just having a laugh. And it was one of the better pods I listened to this year. It was really, really well done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it was
start?
Great. How did that start? So I can't remember when. So I think we'd been going for a little while before, and then Sid and James emerged. I think later on in that year, and then I think kind of over time just kind of got talking, and then kind of listened to them, listened to us, and then like I think it just kind of grew from there. And we've always got on pretty well. Like we met.
They're cool dudes.
I think it was Christmas party a couple of years ago. I think maybe
a little networking going on at the Christmas party.
I do Christmas party. I try to do the Christmas do in London every year. So yeah, you're obviously going to ask who are you? Like, who
you guys
wear
name tags? I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, how do you know who's ever? It's just a bunch of people saying, yeah, no, I'm X, I'm Y.
Yeah, you just start. Yeah, I think yeah, exactly. I think our friend Aaron brought some name tags last year. I don't think they actually went down very well. But yeah, no, you can do this amazing thing as a human being, which is asking someone's name, and that tends to be how it works. just being like, oh, you. That's what I do. I just revert to you. It's good to see you again. Hi, Tom. Like, great to see you.
That a lot of us do not have. Absolutely not. I sit behind a desk with my computer and I don't talk to anyone. Whereas you do a lot of interviewing and stuff. You probably got that. Like you said, you've got like points in charisma and intelligence, and it definitely shows and comes across when you're talking to other people, not just Nick. But which is not to say Nick is like less.
Especially he's a special case. I know how to deal with him. Known him for too long.
You know what I think? See, so first of all, when is the actual meetup this year?
13th of December.
13th of December. Okay. And so I think actually me and General and a few other people are actually coming down for it as well. And I was actually so I'm definitely there. Like I've asked my girlfriend, she said I can come. So I'm gonna come and meet you guys, and it's gonna be great. And I was thinking, now I know you're not a big movie person. You're more into games and music. But as you can tell, like I'm a big movie fan. Blade 3, weird reference if anyone has watched that. Ryan Reynolds is in it, and it was before he was a big hotshot. And he has a Walmart tag that says "Hello, my name is fuck you" on it, and it's just stuck with me for a long time. That's just I don't know. I was like 11 when I first watched that, and it's just like one of those stupid toilet humor things that it's just stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm just gonna come down and I'm gonna wear a name tag that says just "Hello, my name is Dave," and just see if anyone. I mean, like, and I really want to kind of jump to that point where I could do that and everyone's, oh yeah, it's Dave, he's just a twat, he's got fuck you on his thing. But I guess everyone's kind of cool, right? It's not, is it ever awkward, or is everyone kind of like having a laugh?
Yeah, everyone has a laughing. It's really cool. I think because FPL can be, especially if your mates aren't into it, and obviously your missus isn't into it or whatever. Like it can almost feel like a solitary sort of obsession that you've got. So I think it's really cool when people all come together who all share it. Like ultimately, you can say, oh, you go through all the desultory stuff. Oh, what's your name? Where are you from? Oh, you got kids? Oh, blah blah blah. Oh, so how's your team looking? And then suddenly.
And then
the switch between I'm an awkward sort of person to so and get last game week this happened, and I'm really feeling -4, and then suddenly it's such a conversation starter. It's amazing, really, how people get on, So yeah, it'll be really really good. And obviously once you get to know everyone, Yeah, and plus it's weird because you probably have interacted with these people on Twitter, like
all the time.
they are twins, aren't they? So it's kind of you have that moment of adjusting to that person being in real life, and then like you just kind of you relax and it's all cool because everyone's cool and everyone's quite relaxed and that's
I
the
can't
reason we're all
wait.
there.
I can't
Just
wait.
chill
It's gonna
out.
be good. And it's the 13th of December. I'm gonna get the train down. I'm gonna find somewhere to stay, a bench or whatever. I was talking to James in the last pod, and part of the FPL and chill is like, what do you like drinking? Have you ever shagged anyone while watching Netflix? That's the staple questions I ask at the start. And he was telling me that he like does tours in Norwich, which is not that far away from you. Compared to me, and I was like, oh yeah, no, what would you do if you were, you had a fiver in your pocket, and you were gonna try and press someone? And he was like, yeah, fiver would get you nothing. Fiver would get you nothing in London. And I was like, oh no, because I'm absolutely skint, and it's the one thing that's scaring me coming down. It's just like I drink a lot of alcohol, and it's gonna be expensive, so I'm gonna have to pre-drink. So I might actually show up like fucked.
No, it'll be all right. We'll look after you, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
There's lots of there's people from all over, so it depends how generous I'm feeling, and it's all been sponsored by it's Fantasy Football Hub as well. So if you get in touch with Will and become friends with him before you come down, he'll pay for everything on the company card. So there you go.
Oh.
Not that I'm saying that there'll be a company card drinks for everybody.
Yeah, and I've seen the amount that he got. That they've been they've got a lot of money recently, very very recently actually. So that might be nice. But yeah, no, it's cool that you guys do this every year. So yeah, that's kind of our how do we get to know you section going on. How you feeling? It's been 40 minutes of just chatting shit.
Good. I'm happy.
He's happy. Great, excellent, awesome. So everyone in the chat, this is now the point where we're in between talking about Tom and rate my teams, and we're going to be talking about FPL like recent stuff. So we're going to be looking at Tom's team. I might get him to look at my team, and then we do the rate my team. So if you've got any questions regarding anything we've talked about or FPL in general, like now the times to ask, and I'll be reading the chat a little bit more. First things first, as someone has already mentioned, Bottle of Bucky is still a tenner in London, which scares me a lot. Do you know what a Bottle of Bucky is?
The Buck Spurs.
It's Buckfast. It's a wine.
Oh,
it's a tonic wine,
Buckfast, right?
and it's like
okay.
a big Glasgow thing. That,
I see. It's like White Lightning for you guys.
I don't know what that is. I don't know.
White
Yes.
Lightning is synthetic cider that's drunk by
it's shite cider. Is exactly
yeah,
what it is.
yeah, drunk by teenagers
in parks. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's probably the first thing that I drank. No, you know what's really funny is when people do mini leagues and then like they've got prizes. FPL Audit, who's also Scottish, his prize is a bottle of Buckfast, which is really really good. Tom says this whole show is just Dave's way of getting influential FPLers to look at his team. Like, now that is 100% true, by the way. 100% true. I don't give a shit. No, like, every episode of Fantasy Weekly, James always asks a question, and then he'll go, yeah, but I'm thinking this, and he'll slowly add, like, little bits of his team into it, so that he just gets these people to be like, yeah, we don't think you should do that. It becomes our Rate My Team episode, which is really cheeky. So I've definitely learned that from him, so that's good. So let's just get into it. Bottle of Bucky's top prize if you're lucky enough to win the FPL Audit League. Oh, is that you? Oh, is Roman on there? Oh, I see. So he's here. And we're going to be doing your team on Rate My Team, so thank you very much for sending that in. Right, let's just get into your team. So I know that you're a bit upset about how your season's going, but if it makes you feel any better, I am a million behind you.
Right.
So how is your season going?
I think upset is a relative term. I'm pretty it's what 2.5, just over 2.25 years in now. I'm very sanguine about it.
Right.
Whatever. Like
Okay.
if I make the right decisions, I make logical decisions based on stuff, and I just get unlucky.
Yeah, like taking Firmino out, that was 100% the wrong choice, my man. Wrong choice.
Yeah. I had to go eventually, I'm afraid.
I
don't know. I've done nothing really particularly wrong this year. I've just not got the captain right on several weeks, and I've not been lucky with the guy off the bench like Lundstram or something like that. And I don't mean obviously it's not really lucky because you chose him in the first place, but I mean
there's definitely a potential of skill and way more luck than skill, I think, in the game. Obviously, we can set our cards up the exact way we want, but still you're still waiting for that flop, and you have no say over what the flop's going to be.
Oh, absolutely not.
So that's fine.
That's why it's different from like, Call of Duty or something where you can use your superior skills and to affect a change straight away. That's why it can be very frustrating playing FPL.
It's actually one of the things I do when I have a bad week is I'll just go in and I'll just annihilate script kitty. Like I'll just go in and I'll just decimate like 5-year-olds at FIFA or whatever. And it'll make me feel a little bit better. Or I'll go on Football Manager and I'll change with the editor everyone up to 20, and I'll just I'll just win a season without losing at all, and it'll make me feel better, and I'll do that in a day, and then like I've forgotten all about fantasy football. So when you come to the pod and you're talking about your thing, particularly last week, you were talking about the positives of FPL and the positive people and the people who have been doing really well this year. So what is happening with your team? Like how can we help that take that positivity, and what are your plans in that regard?
So nothing that I do is going to make any difference to how those players perform, apart from choosing them. So in terms of the positives, like this week I brought in Mane because right, obviously I could have brought in Vardy. I know there's no Vardy there, but for whatever reason I thought that it was best to kind of go long term with it, because I think there was always going to be. I always wanted to have on Liverpool players, and I had Firmino in the first place. And like when you've just got on those transfers hanging over you, we were thinking, how am I going to get this guy? How am I going to get this guy?
Yeah.
I just thought this week, because I just want to get Mane in basically. So I did Mane and Mopay in for Son and Wilson, and I did that actually uncharacteristically on Sunday night, just because I thought, well, the League Cup, there's not going to be any. It's going to be mass rotation. Most of my quite a few of my players are out of the cup as well. I just thought, well, I'm just going to do it this week. Just go on instinct, because I've been playing really boringly the whole season. Really, like I've been making straightforward calls, like making obvious moves, like captaining. I think I've only made 2 risky captains, which was Callum Wilson 2 weeks ago, and then Son against Southampton game week 7, something like that. So I was just like, well, all right, I think maybe I'll take a little bit of a risk this time and go with Mopay in for a -4, but I don't know. Hopefully it'll go well.
It's gotten to that point where like it'll go well, and if it doesn't, it's same old business.
Yeah, I think two and a bit years, you just get immune to it after a while. Like, I think the first season I was really upset at how fucking badly I'd done. Last season it was like I sold Salah before the Bournemouth game. That just killed my season. Like, it just killed it. I knew it was over at that point, and there was no coming back. So I think I just developed a real sense of like being like, like. I think from going that low, you kind of get to the point where you're like, actually, like, it doesn't. You enjoy FPL. I enjoy doing podcasts. I enjoy doing this. Enjoy doing that. If my team's doing badly, because I used to do very, very well. I don't know what's happened over the last few years. There's been all sorts of reasons why I've just not done very, very well. Done as well as I used to. But there you go.
No, I think everyone knows your pedigree, and that's absolutely fine. But it's great now. It's great that Nick is doing well, because then obviously you've got something to talk about. But see, when you do this like streaming, and every week every single person in the chat is posting a higher game week score, and they're higher than you, and they're coming to listen to you chat, it is very depressing. But I absolutely understand that need to. Oh well, fuck it. I'm gonna go rogue. I'm gonna go absolutely manic, because that's what I did in game week 6. Now we wildcarded at the same time, and we had pretty much the same team. Both went for Firmino, both took everyone out of the back and added them in the front, and we pretty much have the same team now. So you brought in Mane for Son, and you took in Mopai for his last good game in the next 4 against Norwich. For Wilson, I guess obviously Wilson pissed you off enough to take him out right away. He was always going to be a short-term punt anyway, which is fine. And then you obviously brought in Manny as well, because you want him for game week 13 onwards, so you might as well get him now and not have to waste that transfer later on. So what are your plans for Mopai now? Because a lot of people are bringing in Connolly and Mopai, but he has shit fixtures in the next couple of games.
They do. They're really not good, are they? I think it's Man United and Leicester in the next 3, which I'm okay for. The good thing is with Mopai is you've got Ings, Wesley, you've got all these sort of players that they're going to come into good fixtures in a little while. I think Ings particularly, his fixtures after Arsenal in game week 13 are very good, so that might be all right. He's made a glass though, so he may well have gone off due to the fact he sneezed or something by that point.
Yeah.
Like the one I'm really watching out for is obviously Vardy. I brought Jimenez in actually thinking, oh, he would basically do something very similar to what Vardy's done. It's just not really happened. So the escape route there is next week I might do Jimenez and Mendy if Jimenez doesn't match Vardy this week. If Vardy carries on, I'm going to have to get him in. So that'll be Jimenez to Vardy and then Mendy to 4.5, I think it is. So
I really
there's
like
always
the
an
Mendy
escape
chat
route.
though. I really like that you brought him in. It would be a shame to have to get rid of him just for Vardy.
And it pissed me off big time last week.
So you can't blame him for that though. You
I
can't take him out of your team.
I know. I think it'll just be because he's got the Liverpool game, and then he's a way of financing Vardy. He's the only one I want to remove. I'm not removing any of those midfielders. Not moving Abraham. Mopé down to Greenwood or something doesn't finance it. I don't think. Well, it might do actually. Maybe I'll relook. But yeah, I think long term, I'm not too sure. I want Mendy to be there, and I'm also not convinced that he'll be there long term anyway, because I'm sure he'll be injured at some point. But for now, with Zinchenko and what's the other fella's name, Angelino, both being Crocs, I think I'm probably all right with Mendy.
Yeah, I think he's a great choice. I don't see how Pep can start, because he just makes everyone else play better, which is like it's really underrated in a fullback. But to be able to, get back when he needs to, get forward when he needs to, and allow players to move into the box is like the ultimate fullback. It's like what Alonso has been doing. It's what he was doing. It's what Robert does. It's what Alexander-Arnold does. It's what all the other fullbacks that City have don't do. It's just something that he only he does. Which is why we're kind of drawn to him, which I love, and I wish I had him, but it'd be a real shame for you to get rid of him. However, now I was going to ask you, first of all, Roman asked in the chat, are you happy captaining Mane over in the next few, especially in away games? So obviously now when Sterling and his friends all have poor games, are you happy just putting the armband on Mane?
Yeah, why not? He's the same sort of player as Raheem Sterling, really, isn't he? Like, obviously he doesn't have the stats, but the output is pretty similar. And Liverpool are the best team in the country at the moment, so he's one of the key attackers. Like, there's no argument, is there? Really?
He's logically the best choice.
Yeah, and I think away he hasn't quite convinced as much as home, but like I think I captained away at Fulham last year and did all right. There's quite a few decent fixtures, and to be honest, the captaincy doesn't need to be either on Sterling or Mane. It can be anywhere else. Like, I still haven't really thought about it too much. Like, I just find, as I said this on the last pod, I just find that, like, I used to have these big text files on my computer, and I was just like, oh, game week 14 this to this, game 15 this to this.
Yeah.
And I just find that, like, I end up just with sunk cost fallacy, basically, which is when you just get so invested in something that you feel like you've got to follow it through because you've put a lot of time into it, which means that you often just discount better options when they come through. So I'm trying to get away from that, really. So I just think, well, yeah, for double game weeks, make a big plan. Sure, why not? That makes sense. But around this sort of time, like, I think the amount of times that so many managers get caught out thinking, oh, I was going to do it anyway, or I need to be doing this in order to make this happen in 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and I'm kind of like, that it just makes your focus change, if that makes sense. So yeah. I mean, I will think about what I'm going to do with all that, but there's a few captaincy options there. So next weekend, for example, Mane, De Bruyne, Sterling, TAA and Mendy are all out as captaincy options. It's not that I captain a defender. But
yeah, have you ever done that? I've never done that.
Yes, I have.
It's so scary.
I captained Ivanovic against Burnley. That was three years ago, and he scored in the 15th minute, and then Ben Mee scored in like the 82nd, something like that. So I almost got a 30-pointer, and I had to deal with I had to take a 14 or something, unfortunately. But yeah, no, that's the only time I've ever done it, actually. But yeah, next week, Jimenez has got Wolves at home. I could captain him. Abraham's got Crystal Palace at home. Could captain him. Yeah, I mean, there's always options. Especially in weeks where there's not an obvious pick. Like, that's opportunity, isn't it? Because there's a split. So that means that you can go with an option that you fancy. So, for example, Wilson against Norwich the other week.
Those are kind of my favourite weeks when there is so many good fixtures, but bad fixtures for Sterling and Salah or whoever it is that is. Oh, we're getting a bit of mid-drift. That was nice.
Sorry, I'm kind of put because it's East London. I haven't got a big pad or anything. I've only got this is the bedroom, living room, bathroom, and there's a little kitchen on the side of the living room. That's all we've got. So I've got I'm kind of perched on the edge of my bed, but it kind of hurts my back a little bit after a while.
Okay,
Getting
no,
old, mate. Getting old.
absolutely no
Oh, my
worries.
back. Oh.
Oh yeah, that's another one you guys do, the over 30s, and they're fucking doing better than me as well, the bastards.
Oh yeah, they're doing better than me as well. I'm quite amazing.
Well, they're definitely doing better than you if they're doing, or me if they're doing better than
So
you. But yeah,
depressing.
no, some of those my favorite weeks in FPL is when you've got like loads of people doing different captains, because then you can go rogue and you don't have to worry too much about 80% of the community captaining Sterling or whoever, and then you can actually jump on, always captain Kevin De Bruyne and feel okay about it.
Yeah,
Just
and
put that in mind.
it's actually kind of boring as well. Like
Yeah.
it's always great getting points. Yeah. But at the end of the day, if I have Captain Sterling, I know that basically everyone on my mini league's Captain Sterling, and basically
Mhm.
everyone on Twitter's Captain Sterling. When he scores a goal, it's like, yeah, that's great because I'm
Balances out.
getting one over on the casuals. But
Yeah.
the later on into the season that goes, and it's just the engaged core who are still at it, because after all, it just kind of falls off a cliff, doesn't it? After Christmas.
Yeah.
Like it's really boring. It's like when Tammy Abraham or Mason Mount do something, or in years past, when Robin van Persie did something, or Drogba did something, or something like that. Like it almost was a bit boring because everyone's got him. So the point is basically kind of wiped out. Mo Salah that first season, everyone owned him after a while. So him being captain was the only differential you could get.
Yeah.
And captaining him in weird games was the only way you could get anything out of him. Other than that, he was just hygiene. And
That was a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely boring. But like, if I was in the top 10k, then it wouldn't be boring to me. It would
Oh
be
yeah.
like yes, I'm gonna keep with the pack. My boring
Yeah.
picks are gonna be everyone is not boring. And then when you're in that mode, you kind of only bring in one rogue, and then that's it. And you kind of want to stay
Yeah,
there.
that's
And
it.
the whole point.
The
But
1 to 10, yeah.
up here, when you're way up here in the fucking mountains, like we are, you have to start going rogue all the time, because there's no way to jump if you've got everyone else. You're just gonna stay where you are, which means you have to punt more, which means it might work less, which means you've got even more risky choices, and then it's just a big plummet. So yeah, I'm gonna just always captain Kevin De Bruyne just from now on, and just see how that goes. So for you, sorry, Sean asked what the best idea for Liverpool assets when they have the blank game week in game week 18. Now I know you said you haven't been thinking that far ahead, but
Oh yeah, that one's been flagged for quite a while. Just because I mean, if you've been playing for the last few years, you'll know that Liverpool have dodged the double game week every single season, like being knocked out of the FA Cup or knocked out of the League Cup. I think it is like something like that. They've always dodged double game weeks. So remember that game against Watford, and everyone captained Salah, and then last year against Fulham, they were the only big six that played on the blank as well.
Yeah.
So this year will be the first year where we've got an opportunity to use a chip on a Liverpool player rather than free hit. I mean, a few intrepid souls obviously triple captain Salah against like Watford or something like that. But I think that's going to be a huge. That's going to be really, really big, especially because the quality of the games is West Ham, and I think it's slated to be as well on the Watford and West Ham, something like that. It's going to be a double game week. Oh yeah, that's triple captain Salah territory there. Plan for it. So you've got free people, you've got free bench slots. Use them.
So
Simple as that.
you're just gonna bench your Liverpool guys and not worry about it.
Yeah, I mean, we can take two. Like, if you're going to just bring in a Robertson or bring in a Van Dijk or even a Matip/Gomez, whoever's fit at that point, you'll be all right. Like the mantra around Christmas is have a strong bench, right? Like everyone knows that. Everyone does that around Christmas because of the rotation. So by that point, I probably won't have Kelly anymore, or hopefully he'll be playing.
Yeah.
So I think you should be able to manage your way through it, or you can even do a switcheroo. Unlikely because you're going to have a lot of value tied up in your Liverpool players probably.
I actually think that the problem this year is like a lot of people were caught out with it, but see, because the Liverpool blank is this year, it means that people are going to have to deal with having a shit bench earlier, and so therefore they're going to be more prepared for those harder like months when the games come thick and fast. So it means that like the casuals are actually going to have a little bit of more prep.
It's over Christmas. It's game week 18. That's the blank. So
with it now.
Nah, definitely not. People only deal with stuff when it's next week.
Okay.
Well,
that makes me feel better. I hope so.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I'm with them. I'm amongst them. They're all around me. And it does my. I had
Me
a
too,
1 million green arrow on Saturday, and then it went down to 400k because I didn't have
Ooh.
Salah or Mane,
Man.
and it just kind of
Yeah.
dropped. But like you did, you brought in Mane. I've kind of went the other way, and I'm waiting for Firmino to come good. Unfortunately. Hey Tips, what's going on? Everyone else is still here. Cheers for hanging out for so long. Last couple of questions. So triple captain Trent, would you ever do it in those fixtures you were talking about?
Yeah, of course. Like, was it Laporte last season in the double game
Yeah,
week
he
would have
did
been the
so
best
well.
options triple captain, right? He scored the most points. So, sure, why not? Probably going
Because
to end
it's
up
so
going with the
scary,
saw.
Tom. It's very scary.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, TAA and Robertson don't get. I mean, I think you psychologically associate them with a centre back or something like that because of their position on an FPL pitch. Don't think about that. Think about them as midfielders. Think
Yeah.
about the fact that that formation in front of you is basically a zero, zero, 0 6 3. I can't count. Is
It's hard to
zero
do on
7
stream.
3. It's a 0 7 3, isn't it? The
Yeah.
formation, the team that I've got there, because TAA and Mendy play so advanced, they might as well be midfielders. And Lundstram is a midfielder, so I haven't got any
Yeah.
defenders really in the team that you can see there.
That's a good point.
I just don't think about them as like don't like fix them as your point of reference as being a Tarkovsky or something. They're not. They're a key part of Liverpool's attack. If anything, Robertson, TAA are the number 10 to Liverpool, right? So why would you not triple captain Liverpool, one of Liverpool's key attacking assets? I think James and Sudge said on the pod this week that TAA is basically De Bruyne for them. So
Yeah.
why not? Just don't worry about the fact that they're a defender. Like that's just a thing. It doesn't matter too much. It's more about the value of the asset itself, and it happens to get more points if it gets an assist. So if it scores a goal, happens to get clean sheets as well. If they keep one clean sheet, you triple captain him, he's got an assist and gets some bonus. You're something looking at 30, was that 50, 45 point triple captain with one game to play. Like
Yeah.
why not? Why not?
It's sound advice. I'm never gonna take. I'm never gonna take.
Yeah, no, I probably
Not
won't either.
not
But
not in a bad way, but just like I'm always see like the chip is so overrated, but you still don't want to fuck it up. You still don't want to like put it on
yeah,
someone that like could absolutely, because if you do it and you put it on like Sane was a good choice and everyone kind of got unlucky, but that usually doesn't happen, right? But if you put it on Alexander Arnold and he blanks and he concedes both games, you're going to be looked at like a complete tool. And that sucks because like it's actually a decent option. So I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it on Firmino if I've still got him. And hopefully that's
God.
what breaks the curse. I've
Yeah,
actually
maybe.
owned him for every single game week that he's blanked and never owned him for any game week that he hasn't. And that includes game week 3. Just game week 3. And then Pookie scored a hat
God.
trick and I took him out right away because I was like scared about that. And I was living in fear, Tom. And then eventually I fucked him off Pookie. But I brought Firmino back on my wild card, and then I'm getting stubborn with it now because he has blanked 4 game weeks in a row. So you said that your plans are to take Jimenez out and Mendy out if you still need Vardy, right?
Yeah, I guess so. As I said, I'm hoping that I don't because it's a pain in the ass to try to fit him in, frankly. But
Yeah.
if that's the way it is, then that's the way it is, and I'll go with it for the time being. Make new plans. It's never worth having a plan and sticking to it, I'm afraid, because there's always going to be new plans. If you've got a plan and want to stick to it, go and play Sky. You can have a general mark always says my strategy is to avoid injury hit players and if I can bank a transfer. That's a strategy you can get behind. But if you've got a tactical plan to bring players in and do that sort of thing, and thinking I've got to get this player, or I'm no offense, but I'm trying to be stubborn and sticking with this guy, or the opposite. I'm stubborn and I don't want to bring this guy in no matter what. Like people who are Salah dodgers a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
This just you got to take the emotion out of it and think, well, actually, rationally, if I've invested in a stock and the value of that stock is falling, I get rid of it. Simple as that. And it's the same for FPL. It's just picking when is when it works. So with Pookie, you mentioned him a minute ago. When you got rid of him was really important because I left him in for 4 game weeks. And the best time to get off him would have been after the Man City game. But no one would have possibly done that because they just beat Man City.
Exactly.
So maybe we should have kind of thought 2 weeks later to get rid of him. But again, perfectly plausible to keep on him because you think, well, he's had 2 blanks and
some people already have. We're kind of come to people who still have Pookie in their teams when you find out what you think they should be doing. So we'll just do the rate my teams. Basically what we do is I'll pull the team up I'll let you know who it is, and then we say whether we like the team overall and whether we would take the team as one of ours, or if we like absolutely hate it and it's the worst team we've ever seen, and then we slag it off for like 5 minutes, and then we move on. You happy with that?